Life is simple when we are not trying to figure it out from the logical, rational way of defining and fixing things as we are used to. The logical, rational way of going is relevant in the game of the world, but that cannot be the basis to understand and attune to the wholeness of the reality, because we are an aspect of this mystery. It is not that the mystery is below us, that we can have it in the grip, we can have it under control. We need to learn to be with it in the right way. The English word is very beautiful when it is saying understanding. You are not standing above it, you have to stand below. It means a quality of humility, a quality of non-interfering presence. And that is what we need to consciously, deliberately bring it into our living. Because in the way of going in the world, we learn the forcing, aggressive, power-oriented approach. In the marketplace, it has a relevance. But we get habituated and start going everywhere with the same attitude, with the same tendency. And that is the trap of our life. This entanglement in the habits. The formation of the habit is a very interesting aspect where we ought to bring our attention. When you do one thing first time, something which is new, you are very present because you don't have a past about it. And it's a different intensity what is there when the challenges are strong and you are confronting it for the first time. But the more we are going with it, when it is repeated, it is part of the natural automatism in us that it picks up certain clues and learns certain tricks to adjust. It is like in the modern computing, they are also bringing it that the programs are there which adapt to your personal pronunciations, personal way of going about and adjust. So habit formation in human life becomes a certain kind of settlement, a certain kind of stagnation. That means you don't need to be really present. You can almost put on the autopilot and it is going on. So it's a very important thing to recognize the automatism in our life and see how it prevents us when we go with it unconsciously and blindly to really see the moment, to really be with the moment, to really be with the situation, to really be with that what actually is in a deeper way. Otherwise it just picks up some peripheral aspects, makes conclusions, and on the basis of these judgments and labeling, we are reacting. For certain day-to-day mundane processes, it is very good that it is like that. When you are parking the car in a certain area which is very narrow, in the beginning it is very challenging. You are very careful that you don't touch another car and scratch here and make all kind of scratches on your own car. But when you are doing it more often, it almost goes automatic. Your body, your whole system has picked up many things, and you just make the right turns, the subtle movements which are required. So in the practical living, this automatism is very valuable. But when it comes to the deeper aspects of human connections, of understanding nature, understanding life, there you have to take care that you are not going with the same approach, the same tendency, the same habit. And learn to be present to this automatism so that you are not overtaken by it, so that you don't become a slave of it. This is a very delicate thing. Many people want to be loving, want to live peacefully, beautifully, harmoniously, joyously. You can ask anybody, is there anybody who does not want to be like that deep within? Nobody will really, anybody who is in their senses will not say that they want to be nasty or they want to be ugly or they want to be hateful. No, everybody is basically seeking that. But in the practice, what turns out to be our way of going is often unsensitive, blind, uncreative, unloving. And others can see it more easily, but we don't see it ourselves. Because the others have a distance to this what is taking place, and we are identified with it. That is why we can see the unsensibility and the stupidity, the blindness, the meanness, the silliness, the cowardliness, the shamelessness of the other very easily. And when we are going in the unconscious way, we start blaming, putting the labels on the other. But without going in this blaming and condemning and punishing approach, to turn the attention to that what is taking place in oneself and let it become transparent to yourself. What is happening? In the world there is this transparency asked for. In the politics, everybody wants that everything is known and everything is transparent in the political system, and that is considered to be part of freedom. But what we don't really recognize is what is very basic and significant is that we are transparent to ourselves. We become conscious of what are the factors which are taking place undercurrently in ourselves. Not to judge, not to blame and say, oh, you are good or you are bad or you are horrible or you are special, or not any of this kind of labeling, but just almost like a stock taking. What is happening? What is going on in me? And as you look like that, you can also see the roots of many of this, from where it has come, what is taking place, undercurrently even. And this is liberating, because then you can also see that certain things which may have been at a certain period of the life relevant, and that is why we have picked it up. The child picks up all kinds of survival strategies which at that time for the child may have been very significant. But we continue with these strategies and attitudes and beliefs unconsciously, blindly, even though in the later life it has no relevance, and on the contrary, it is harming us, it is keeping us bound and preventing us from really being ourselves and live the life joyously. So we have to recognize the need and the urgency to encounter this in ourselves. And then you can see the paradox in the nature is, if you try to make everything public, life will collapse. If you try to keep everything secret, then also there won't be any life. You look at these plants, there are parts which are above in the open, and there are parts which are going deep into the earth, hidden. It is something like that. If you make everything public, then the polarity is not able to manifest, and everything is reduced into a logical, rational level. So you have to see when and where you need to be open, and where you need to keep things back. You cannot be open and transparent to everybody and everything. That will be unhealthy. But you also should know there are areas where you need to be transparent, where you need to be open. And first of all, with yourself, that you learn to mirror all what is taking place in you. That is the sense of the mirror-like consciousness. That you understand the need and see that that is an orientation which can happen only when you are determined, deliberate, consequent, and approaching it with a wholehearted, energetic quality. Otherwise, it will not work. If you are just in a kind of lukewarm way, half-hearted, going about your meditation like a ritual, then you know that some part of it is there and some part is just not interested in it and pulling you here and there, and so you are in this kind of splitness, and the energy is also scattered through that. From your side, you have to see that it is a integration of yourself which is required. And the integration takes place when deep within you see that I need to be determined to mirror all what is there. Whether it is beautiful or ugly, pleasant or unpleasant, let me look at all what is there. And this is very significant when you can understand this and let it come in the practice. Because without that, we are in the marketplace everywhere. The sense of creating sacred spaces in the world has basically to do with recognizing the need for this space of non-judgmental, non-interfering silence. But the outer places are not the decisive factor. The most decisive is that we are understanding the need for that quality, need for that way of being with the life, being with ourselves, and allow it to come into the practice. So it is a very delicate factor which we have to be with. On one side, be with the utmost earnestness, with the whole heart, to be present, watchful, wakeful, and at the same time being light, being playful, being non-serious in the whole inquiry. Then only you are in the right inner state, where it is not too tense, but also not too loose. It is like when you are playing with the guitar. If the strings are too tight, it will break. The strings are too loose, no music. It will be just making funny sounds. But with the right attunement, it produces the most valuable music. So recognize the need for this attunement, and that is what the sitting is all about. We are not trying to do anything. We are simply staying wakeful and present without interfering with that what is. It is not trying to achieve something. It is a gentle remembrance. It is a remembrance to let it be. It is a remembrance to allow the beingness and be centered, be rooted in the state of beingness. But again, remember, it's not what we can force, it is that which we can allow. So when you are in the meditative process, you may be forgetting 1,000,000 times, but don't be disheartened. With a smile about your forgetfulness, continue to come back and be with the mirroring. The moment you notice that you have been drifting away, have a gentle smile inside and come. You don't need to say, oh, why I'm forgetting again, and oh, this is horrible, I'm meditating so long and I'm just getting into this and getting into that, I'm not so advanced, and this and that. All of these are judgments. Be simple, be humble in this sense, not trying to put on a show of simplicity and humility to anybody else, but towards life, towards understanding. And remember the word understanding. Even though we are sitting, this word standing is good. Inwardly we have to stand awake. That is why it is said in the yogic teachings and the Zen background that when you sit, let the back be straight as much as possible. Because it's a certain kind of standing up which is required for the energy flow. It will be supportive. You don't need to get serious and heavy about it, but whenever you remember to bring back this quality of being present and wakeful, then you also see the spine also becomes upright spontaneously. And the other way around also, when we get into a kind of drifting and sleepiness, then it also goes down automatically. So just observe, be a friend to yourself, be kind to yourself, and yet be very sharply present to mirror all what is. With this orientation, we sit the next hour.